welcome to Vlogmas Day 3. Today's video is going to be my December TBR. I'm going to explain my goals, which books I want to read and why, some shorter books, some longer books, so stay tuned. If you need any help or suggestions for your December TBR and you're trying to hit your goal of 2025, then stay tuned. So my reading goal was 60 books for the year. Last year I did 50 and I actually hit it. I think I hit 52 or 53 books actually, which I obviously passed my goal, which was great. This year I'm struggling to pass my goal of 60 because I've just been so busy. I've honestly been thinking to get Audible because it'll be a lot easier for me if I just pay for a subscription and be able to listen, because Spotify only gives you the 15 hours a month. So that's like really not enough. You can read maybe 1 to 2 books and that's it. So I would definitely read a lot more if I could listen to some and read some, because sitting down and reading just isn't always on my top priority list, unfortunately. So I wrote all my books down, so let's get started. My first book that I want to talk about is The Gift by Freida McFadden. It's only 47 pages. It's a very, very short read. So if you're trying to hit those goals, definitely pick this one up because it's a really good, I want to say it's a thriller. The main character is Stella, and she basically has no money to give her husband a gift for Christmas. So she goes into the town and she's figuring out like what can she get her husband for very little money, and she runs into a lady at a pawn shop and she offers her an intriguing trade, but at what cost? I tell you guys, I would have never guessed that what happened is what happened. That was just a roller coaster ride for me, but it was really good and so short. You could read it in like an hour. There's a book called The Secret Gift that's only 62 pages. I didn't write the author down, so I'll put it on the screen right here, but it has no correlation with The Gift by Freida McFadden. So The Gift, Freida McFadden, The Secret Gift, different book. This one also took me on a whirlwind of emotions because I was like, what is happening? I kind of knew what was going on probably 20 pages in. I was like, oh yeah, I know what's gonna happen. Maybe not even, but just to read it, you still were like, oh my god, like I can't believe that's happening. So Brenda is the main character. She works in an office building and they do a secret Santa. Well, she discovers some secret that's going on, and she ends up getting her boss for Secret Santa. So she decides, all right, let me tell her this secret and give it to her like kind of in a gift form. And then the next day they all come in and there is a gruesome scene under the Christmas tree after she tells her boss the secret that's now come to light. And it was just one of those things where I was like, oh my god, I can't believe that's happening. I just read this book, Christmas Break. It's 182 pages, so still on the shorter side. These books are pretty much like under 100 pages, just nothing over 300 pages. Isla is the main character and she accepts her sister's invitation to go to their really nice, like a mountain resort home, and it's a really cool home. Like it's a smart home. They had just moved into it. She's trying to understand, how to turn the Wi-Fi back on once it goes out and the power and everything once it goes out. And these are estranged sisters and their mom died, and ever since then they really haven't spoken. So Isla's like, why are you just inviting like me and my husband now? And when Isla first gets there, her sister Clara is going down memory lane, like, oh, you remember when mom used to do this? Remember when mom used to do this? And Isla was getting annoyed because she's like, okay, great, I know you were the favorite sister or whatever, or that's at least kind of the energy she's giving. But then of course a storm is happening. So Clara, her husband, and Isla's husband all go outside to the breaker box to figure out how to turn the power back on. And when they go and do that, Isla's obviously left alone in the house. She starts hearing noises, but things obviously go awry and someone is not who they seem to be. This was definitely a twisty one. I didn't see it coming at all. I thought it was going to be one person that was bad and it ended up being a different person that was bad. Definitely threw me for a loop. Another one I want to mention is Bottom of the Pyramid by Nia Sue. I think that's how you say her last name. That one is 256 pages. I listened to that one. I actually feel like memoirs you should really listen to. The only one that I didn't listen to that I could think of was the one that Emily Gilmore from the Gilmore Girls, the grandma, she did a memoir as well called The Third Gilmore Girl. I read that one, but I feel like every other one you should listen to because hearing it in their voice is such a different experience. If you guys don't know, Nia is from ALDC, which is Abilene Dance Company. She's from Dance Moms. just the experiences that she talks about having with the girls, where they all look like they were best friends and they all actually were like not so nice to her, and Abby just would say crazy like racial things to her and other people in the company, and you just hearing it in her voice, it was like her talking to like her inner child, and it was really heartbreaking to hear, honestly. It took me back to my childhood of bullies and just people leaving me out of things, and I can only imagine like also adding her race into the factor of being like, is it because I'm black? Like, it was just so heartbreaking to hear. And I actually just watched a video on TikTok of her, or Instagram, of her getting a call from Kamala Harris, which I thought was so cool. I just really love the woman that she's become, watching her from Dance Moms, from when she was so little, probably like 6 years old, to now being in her like early to mid 20s. She's just grown so much. It's such a nice experience to see her just grow and mature. I just hope she has some good memories that she's taken out of it, because what an experience to be on Dance Moms. I mean, we all saw it. It was just drama. But I'm really happy for her with where she's going with her life. I want to do an honorable mention to 2 books that I had just read. I'll Be Alone for Christmas, and then the sequel. I don't know if it's technically the sequel or just another one in like a certain series. But Christmas to Die For, I'm still reading. I'm 16 chapters in, so I'll let you guys know when I'm done with that one. I can do an update on that book on a different video. But I'll Be Home for Christmas is a girl named Romy. She breaks up with her, I believe, boyfriend, and they were going on a vacation to this like resort in the mountains, and she decides to still go by herself, and it's Christmas Eve, and she's like, screw it, I'm going, I don't care. Her mom obviously like, don't go, don't do this, and then her ex is like not talking to her, so she's like, I'm just gonna go and do it regardless. We love that for her. But at the end of the day, it ends up not being safe, because she gets there and she thinks the town's a little creepy, you know, it's, you know, kind of deserted. She's heard a lot of people during snowstorms have like driven off cliffs and stuff like that, and she's like, are they driving off cliffs, or is something happening? Like, what's going on? So she starts to hear noises in her house, and then of course the power goes out because there's just a big storm, just like the other book I was talking about in Christmas Break, which is a whole different series, whole different author. And she basically finds the source of the noise in the house, and it ends up being multiple people involved, and that's all I'll say. And it's really scary, but this girl is such a badass that I'm not worried about her anymore. She ends up, I'm not gonna ruin it for you, you guys gotta read it because it's really good. And then I guess the sequel, the second part, like the series, is based off of a podcast that the main character Sabrina has, and her 2 friends go up to a cabin because her podcast is all about like true crime stories, and they go and research a true crime, something that happened in this same area. So they encounter this guy, and you know, of course, snowstorms happening, so they need like chains on the wheels to like get up the mountain and everything, so they don't slide down and get into a wreck or something. But the guy's super creepy one. Like, he does awful things, not to them directly. They drive away and they like see him doing something to himself, and it's just very weird. So if you're sensitive to that kind of stuff, definitely maybe don't read this book, or just read like disclaimers first. And from what I've read so far, he doesn't like attack them or anything, but like I said, I'll have to give an update, so just be aware of that. But that one, they finally arrived to the motel that they were staying at, or the resort, or whatever it's called, but it looks like a small like hotel, like a motel. And I just feel like the staff is like a little sketchy. The guy is a little sketchy, the one woman's a little sketchy, so we'll see what happens with that one. Okay, The Wife You Know by Chad Zunker. It is 199 pages, which isn't so bad. Main character Luke, his wife ends up going missing, and then soon after he remarries a woman named Ashley, and she has a daughter. And you know, he falls in love miraculously. He's like, oh my gosh, I've never been in love like this. And she ends up going missing as well. I'm pretty sure the daughter does too. I think they both vanish. So while it's all under investigation, he's trying to figure out like, who the hell is this Ashley person? She's like not showing up in, I guess, like the database or whatever. He's like, who did I marry, basically? And then you're thinking like, well, what was she hiding? Because why is she not in the system anywhere? Why can he not find her? It's as if he never even married her, like she never existed. So it says the truth is dangerous. Her secrets threaten all their lives. Such Lovely Neighbors is by Jack Dane. It's 239 pages. So first-time homeowners, Nikki and Noah, they just bought a beautiful new starter home, and they are commuting to New York City every day. They're having the time of their life, and their neighbors seem very gracious. They're bringing over pies, they're saying hello, they're keeping in touch. But then they start to feel like the neighbors are being a little too much and it's just not really adding up. Like, why are they being so friendly? Something seems a little weird. Something is just very off-putting, and then they hear these strange sounds through the night. I think they go and explore, and I don't know if they just start digging into like the ground for some reason, but it says wedding rings are buried in their yard. So I guess they find the wedding rings and they're trying to uncover like what the hell is that about. And then it says by the time they realize the dark secrets, it's too late. That sounds very interesting and very up my alley. The next one is A Happy Marriage. This one is 245 pages by A.R. Torre. So Dina is an LA homicide detective. Dina and her husband Joe have a pretty good marriage, but it says she's been hiding a secret for the past 10 years. And he is a doctor in a hospital, and when one of her cases of a missing woman, because remember, she's a detective, when one of her cases of a missing woman actually turns up in the hospital, they have a doctor-patient confidentiality, so basically Joe can't tell his wife, who's the detective, Dina, what's happening with the girl and what happened and what she's saying. Basically just threatens their marriage because she's probably like, you need to tell me, but he really can't do so. It's just, that's the confidentiality, he can't do it. And then I have 2 more books on the list. Flash Out is a little bit of a different one for me. It's 277 pages by Alex Solowski, and it says there's a thrill-seeking young woman, and she basically joins this like radical theater troupe in New York City in 1972. And then the description goes off and says there's a college student that joined that company, that like theater troupe, because she was promised freedom by the leader. Which once they said leader, I was like, is this like a Charlie Manson thing? Because there's like a leader and they're like somehow like involved in a cult or something. It's kind of what it sounds like. But that college student joins in 1997 in California. That's another thing where I was like, that's Charles Manson there. Then it jumps again and it says a theater teacher in a private school gets an unsettling letter, and with her job at risk, she has to protect the life she's made. I don't know if that first girl ends up being the professor or teacher, and then she gets a letter from maybe this other college student. I'm not 100% sure. The description was a lot. It was a little bit confusing. It kind of felt like it jumped a lot, but this one definitely seems interesting. It'll be a different read for me, which I sometimes enjoy. And then the last one on my list is a book called Open House by Katie Seiss. This one is the longest of the books that I have. It's 280 pages. It's 3 more pages than Flash Out. So there's a missing young woman named Emma. She's missing for about 10 years, and it's basically the town's unsolved mystery. And she was a New York art school student, and she was just gone. So her sister Haley is like seeking for closure and evidence, and she ends up finding Emma's bracelet, and it was like a clue and a trigger to the case because it was tied to, I want to say 3 people. I think it was like a teacher and like 2 other people. Like somehow that bracelet was tied to. And I think there's another crime that happens that ends up being attached to this case 10 winters apart. So that case with Emma tends to surface. There's a bunch of secrets that are running deep, it says, in this dark, quiet river town. So those are all of my reads that I'm going to finish hopefully by the end of December, since they're all relatively shorter books, some novellas in there. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know this was a little bit shorter for a Vlogmas video, but for Vlogmas Day 4, I'm going to get Botox. I'm going to bake some cookies, and it's just going to be a nice day. So come along on my journey. You'll get ready with me for getting Botox and everything. I'll explain the whole experience, so stay tuned for that. And I'll see you tomorrow for Vlogmas Day 4.